Yes, indeed. So without further ado, I want to introduce to the show Mr. Chris Copeland. Chris Copeland, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
Welcome to New York, baby. Welcome to New York.
Man, I appreciate y'all for having me, man. It's such a blessing just to be here, man. You have no idea.
Hey, Chris, I just want to let you know you're on the show with you got Ed, you got E-Complete. Those are your Knicks fans. They're on your side. I'm really not on your team, dog. I just beat you the other day. I'm Team Brooklyn Nets. So just so we have some little fun on the show here at H2G Radio.
Oh, man.
So don't worry, Chris. Chris, don't worry. We keep them hemmed up, man. We let them know. It's all about
Chris,
it's all about the Knicks.
It's under new management right now. How was that game, Chris? I know it's your rookie season. How did it feel to kind of be in that atmosphere there in Brooklyn?
Oh, it was an incredible environment, man. It was a lot of fun to be a part of. You know what I mean? They got us that one time. We got a lot more games to play though.
No doubt, man. I just poking fun with you. But the one thing, and talking with Ed, I'm just so impressed with just your journey in terms of finally making it to the NBA. I know you're a little older than the typical rookies in your journey of playing overseas, but just tell us about your journey and how you landed the opportunity of being here in New York.
Man, I like to say, people say it's been 6 years. I like to say it's been 24. I mean, since, kindergarten, I can remember wanting to be in the NBA. Since I've had memory, I can remember wanting to be a part of this league. And, the journey's been extremely long, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, man, and just thank God and thank the Knicks, man, for giving me an opportunity, and, I'm glad it worked out.
Hey, Chris, let me ask you, because I saw you during the summer, man, and I was telling Ricky and Edgar and one of our other boys, when you were in Summer League, what do you think it was that the coaches saw in you to invite you to camp? And, what made you feel like when you were out there? Because it looked like you kind of shined through, all the talent, you and Lillard and a couple other cats. But you definitely, when I saw you playing, I was like, that's an NBA player. So what was it that the coaches were like, you know what, you're coming to camp? What do you think? What was it?
I think for me personally was being receptive and learning every day and making sure I was improving. Because going into it, I already, I've been a scorer for a while, you know what I mean? And, the coaches, they were always on me about showing other aspects of the game. By the end of the Summer League, I was trying to distribute more, trying to be more of a presence defensively. And I think those are the things that got me over the hump. A lot of people can score, but, coaches always on me about being versatile, and that was a big thing for me.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so Cope, I was talking with Ed as well, and I know sometimes how the rookies, sometimes they always have a story to go through. The rookies don't always get treated fairly. Tell her, in this month, what has life been like being a rookie on the New York Knicks? What do they have to put you through?
Oh my goodness. I got a lot.
I know a couple of things. I want to see if you're going to share. I know a couple of things already.
Yeah, let us know, man.
Yeah, they got me quite a few times, man. Marcus is my biggest hazer or whatever you want to call it. I had to do the tuxedo thing. I've had the normal thing. Yeah, I know a lot of people have seen that. I got a pink Disney princess book bag I gotta wear around. Yeah, it's like I said, from the start, it's been such a long journey, man. And at the end of the day, just to be here is such a blessing. Like whatever they put me through is not even, it's like, all right, what else you got for me?
Yeah. Hey, Chris, like on the team, like who do you, try to get the most advice, out of, obviously, this is your rookie season, like staying like certain, situations in games. Like who's your guy that you rather, you sit down with and you try to get as much knowledge from, in the game?
I mean, believe it or not, I really I talk to everybody. When I say everybody, I talk to everybody on the team. The guys that helped me the most, I would say, is Rasheed, Marcus, and Kurt. They're the most in my ear, you know what I mean? And they've had probably the most years on this team besides maybe Jason in this game. And I try to soak up as much as I can from those guys. And whatever I don't ask, they tell me anyway.
And I also saw that, you back in the days, one of your coaches was former Detroit great Ben Wallace in the Richmond Pro-Am League. How was that?
Yeah, that was, he's been great. You know, we worked out a little bit this summer. I go back every summer and play with those guys. And from, you know, a lot of people in Richmond, you know, push me in and help me get better every summer when I go back. Corey Alexander. I mean, it's a long list. Mike Davis. A lot of people have helped me. I won't go down the list and forget names, but you know, a lot of people in Richmond. Ben especially, you know, from a physical aspect, he was, you know, telling me to prepare, you know, because it doesn't get much more physical than Ben Wallace if you know his game. So I got to learn a lot from him.
We want to talk about some of these NBA players who rap and what you think, I mean, as a DJ, you know, what you think of their skills. So, who we got first? Well, we didn't get a clip to download, but, you know, we got Steven Jackson, a.k.a. Stack 5, and he just did Lonely at the Top with Kevin Durant. Have you heard that?
I heard the record.
What do you think of it?
Kevin needs to stop. He needs to stop. Come on, man. Like,
I thought he was high. I thought he had a little flow.
He needs to stop.
A little bit.
That's the equivalent of a dude that can't ball, like actually making Oklahoma, making a team, and him like subbing in. You know what I'm saying? Like if Durant is in a playoff game and they sub this dude in, he really can't play, but they just subbed him in like he's in the game. Like, come on, stop doing that, man. Like, you got to respect the craft, and you know, it's hard for them to do that because they don't have the time nor the experience to really do it for real. You know what I'm saying? If you're a basketball player and you rapping and you got like basketball metaphors in your, like, come on with that, man. Like, get out of here, man. Like, if you're gonna do it, you know what I'm saying? Do it for real.
Okay, so you say that one. You say that one's a dump it. Bump it or dump it. Say dump it.
I mean, before you bump it or dump it, though, you talked about KD, but what do you think about Steven Jackson's skills? Now, let me tell you something. You better be careful what you say about Steven Jackson, because he goes off. He will beat you up.
Listen, I want Steven Jackson to come over and hit me so I can get paid. Nah, serious. Hold on. No, Steven Jackson, I actually seen something on TV about him, and I finally heard the record the other day. Like, he could rap. Like, I think Steven Jackson could rap. You know, I mean, the song in general, you know, it ain't, I didn't, you know, the singing and all that, like, come on, dude, you know, you a hardcore dude and you doing some singing song, like, it just don't match, but he can rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can rap. So I would dump the second half of the song.
Okay. All right, so we got to keep moving. So we're gonna move on to your boy on the Knicks, currently on the Knicks, Iman. Shumpert. Yeah. Let's listen a little bit.
Early.com. New music.
Oh, he rapped over beat on that.
He ain't bad.
Ain't nobody messing with my nigga. Knicks. Tape. They don't do it like this. Knicks. Tape. Yeah, I'm talking Melo. Yeah, I'm talking Tyson, and that's the gold medal. Amari, he known to spike it. And we got Thomas. Went back and cop felt and mixed Prigioni with Jason and Nora. Lord help him. I got no back in the corner.
Okay. What you think about that, Ted?
Nah, Shump is all right. He's all right. I mean, again, I understand, you know, that was for, like, you know, to name the players again. These rappers, they rap about basketball, like, whatever. But I understand, like, that was it supposed to be. But he sounds like he can rap. Like, he got the swag. He followed the structure of the song. So I would. That's cool. I'm not playing at a party.
Are you saying that because you a Knicks fan? Are you just saying?
Well, I'm not a Knicks fan, so it ain't. I'm totally being unbiased.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Like, even better. Okay. So let's.
He got a flow. He got a flow.
Okay. So he gave that a bump it. So let's.
Yeah,
go.
we can bump that.
All right. So let's go to the next one. This is what's his name? Lou Williams. Used to play for the Sixers. Now he's at the Atlanta Hawks. Featuring, I think this has Meek Mill, if I'm not mistaken, and somebody else. let's.
Okay. Leg up.
play this little instrumental part right.
Yeah, little intro.
Never get rattled from bloggers and all these dog droppers. I'm doing me, I'm just riding around in a dog dropper. With a showstopper, I made a man disappear. Watch the magic happen. I give a damn about a hater when he talking with.
Okay, what we think about that?
He sounds like a rapper. I'm not even mad at him.
Okay.
I'm not. I mean, again, like you said, he on that record with 2 Chainz and I think someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so he talking what they talking. You feel me? Like, he can't be on that joint talking about, well, I hit threes from the corner and like, nah. You know what I'm saying? So you know, he sounds right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he sounds. If you didn't tell me who he was, I would think that was like maybe one of the 2 Chainz artists or something.
Okay.
Right, he sounds like a straight up,
he sounds like a
work with that. I could work with that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. So Lou Williams, you got the thumbs up from Ted Smooth and the Hoop Girls crew. All right, the last one we're gonna get to is your boy Laker Meta World Peace, aka.
Do we gotta do this, man? Do we gotta do this, man? Like, really, man? And that's my boy. Like, that's my boy. I mean. Come on, man.
Chad, he from Queens. We gonna listen to
him.
And it's called Representing. I think it's a new joint.
You ever feel that rush running through your veins? The rush is the blood is the beat, can't be contained. The bones is the drums, the fingers the snare, the skin is the strings, ribs is the guitar, itching while I sing, itching while I rap. Foot is the kick, the tongue's the auto-tune, violin, my brain is the mic. I'll be talking to myself cause I don't know what I'm saying.
All right. Yeah.
Oh man, that put me in like, oh wow, okay.
Which one of y'all just bust out laughing right there?
That was me.
That was
Oh, that was well deserved. I'll tell you that one, buddy.
What is the Lakers? What's happening with the Lakers? What's your opinion?
Well, you know, I think a big reason for their struggles has been Steve Nash's absence. You can't ignore that, especially in a Mike D'Antoni offense. You know, every stop we've seen, whether it's Phoenix or New York, I mean, he needs a good point guard to run that offense. So I do think that's part of it. I think they'll get better when Nash comes back, especially offensively. You know, he's someone that can come in and make sure everyone gets their touches. And once Gasol comes back, too, you know, we've seen Steve Nash turn Boris Dia and some not-so-good big men into some very high-paid players. So once he has Pau Gasol and Dwight Howard to work with, I think that pick and roll is going to be pretty scary. But defensively, you know, does Nash really solve anything? I really don't think he does. He's going to be 39 years old in a few months. So it's kind of scary if you're a Lakers fan, knowing that, you know, he's not going to help you defensively and that you're relying so much on a guy who's been injured this year and who's about to turn 39 years old. So, you know, I also think that the Lakers need to go out and sign a shooter, you know, maybe someone like Michael Redd or Quinn Richardson. There's still some free agents out there that could come in and help this team. You know, there's been talk to maybe look at Delonte West to step in and play a backup point guard role, but they're so much worse than anyone thought they would be. You know, if you look at this team, they still have Dwight Howard, they still have Kobe Bryant, still have Antoine Jameson. You know, even with the injuries, they should be better than they are. They shouldn't be getting blown out like this, getting embarrassed, and losing to teams like the Cavaliers or the Trailblazers early in the season. I mean, they're losing to teams that they have no business losing to, and that's been the biggest surprise so far.
Well, you know, I definitely agree with you, Alex. And let me ask you this, though, in terms of defensively, you know, people get on D'Antoni, and, you know, you got to practice it. But do you think at the end of the day, maybe this roster is not what we thought it was, and that, you know, I think they're kind of slow. I mean, Jameson, like you said, they only have Jody Meeks as a shooter, and then having Jameson off the bench, I don't know what you're going to get out of Ebanks, and you need Blake to come back as well with Nash and Gasol. I think I would like to see them, and they've talked about maybe going after Delonte West, you know, so you could have a good defensive point guard. Do you think that at the end of the day, D'Antoni is going to have to adjust his system, which we haven't seen him do before, to really work with these players?
I think you'll have to. You know, I think you hit the nail on the head saying that the players don't fit the system. And you're right. Defensively, these guys are slow. And, you know, a couple of years ago, a team that had Kobe Bryant, Ron Artest, and Dwight Howard would have been the best defensive team in the league. But we all know that, I mean, especially this year, Kobe's taking plays off on defense so that he can really play well on the offensive end and kind of conserve his energy. You know, Meta World Peace isn't the same defender that Ron Artest was, clearly. And Dwight Howard even isn't 100% right now. So, you know, as Dwight Howard gets back to full strength and gets back to 100%, I do think their defense will get a little bit better, but I'm not sure how much better. You know, I think there's been a couple examples throughout the season where we see that if they had a healthy Dwight Howard, maybe they would have played better. You know, that Indiana Pacers game where George Hill has a little floater over Dwight Howard comes to mind. Yeah, I think if Dwight Howard were healthy, he blocks that in the stands. So little plays like that, little games here and there, you can kind of pull out times where you think that Dwight Howard being 100% would help them. But at the end of the day, you're right. I do think that this roster from top to bottom is older, and really they lack really good defensive players. So that's where if you're Mike D'Antoni, you have to make adjustments. Really, he can't afford to just go and be stubborn and not make adjustments or change. He has to do something to get the most out of his players and get the most out of this roster.
Yeah. So, Alex, you know, enough of La La Land. You know, Ricky's a big Brooklyn guy. He's from Brooklyn. I'm a big Knick fan. Used to have tickets growing up and been to, you know, a bunch of games. And, you know, obviously, you know, Edgar's relationship with the Knicks. So on our show, we talk about the Battle of New York, and it's 1-1. What's your thought of it? And then do you think that the way the Knicks are winning, and obviously their win tonight over Lakers 116-107, and how great they're at home, do you think the Knicks are kind of the toast of the town, really, and they can keep it going?
I would say for now they definitely are, just because, I mean, when you're number one Eastern Conference and you have the impressive wins that they do, I think that definitely makes them the number one team in town. But at the same time, like you said, it's 1-1, so in head-to-head matchups, it's kind of hard to say. And, you know, you look at Brooklyn, they've been kind of beat up a little bit. Earlier in the year when they had Brook Lopez, I mean, he was playing great. He really surprised me. He was someone that I was a little bit critical of over the past couple of years. He was injured last year, obviously, but this year he came out scoring the ball well, rebounding much better than ever before, and playing very good defense. So, you know, I think Brooks' progression really helped the Nets take that next step. And you know, the Nets, they've kind of went through that adjustment period that teams go through whenever you add new players. You know, the Knicks have been kind of surprising that they've been able to get off this early start just because they have so many new faces, just like the Nets do. But the Nets have kind of had a bit more traditional adjustment period, whereas the Knicks, because they have so many veterans that they brought in and so many guys with a lot of experience, they've been able to really click right away, and everyone kind of knew their role. So they haven't had those early season struggles that teams who really revamp their roster over the offseason go through usually, but the Nets have. So, you know, it's kind of tough to tell who's going to be the better team in the long run. You know, I wouldn't want to run into either team come playoff time, and I think it's going to be a very interesting season. It wouldn't surprise me at all if both of these teams finish in the top 5 in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, Alex. But when you look at the first month or so of the season, which teams have surprised you and kind of stood out and say, you know what, I didn't expect this?
I would say Memphis is a big surprise. You know, they've been playing very, very well. They have that balanced attack, and really everyone's clicking there. And we kind of should have seen this coming because they had so many pieces coming back, and, you know, everyone's healthy now. We couldn't say that for a while there. But there's two other teams that really haven't gotten a lot of attention that I've been really surprised by. Atlanta is one. Whenever they traded Joe Johnson and Marvin Williams, everyone said this was going to be a rebuilding year for them, that they wouldn't be a contender anymore. But, you know, they've continued to win games, and they're looking like a very good team right now. They're the third team in the Eastern Conference. So, you know, that tells me that they can still compete. And come playoff time, whenever you have as many shooters as they do, you know, they could surprise someone. We saw that with the Orlando Magic a few years ago, where they weren't the most talented team, but they got hot at the right time, and they were able to upset some very good teams. So Atlanta definitely has some potential to upset a very good team in the Eastern Conference in the playoffs. And then another team that has really surprised me, you know, is the Golden State Warriors. They're so deep this year, and you know, their second unit is arguably the best in the league. So even though they've had injuries, they haven't had Andrew Bogut. They're playing very well. Mark Jackson's doing a great job coaching that team, and they just have so many weapons. You know, I see them continuing to play well for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I like Golden State as well. The one thing is what you gotta like is that Stephen Curry seems to be staying healthy. His ankle is doing well. He looks like he's played over 20 games now, which he hasn't done that in a while. So they're looking bright. Stephen Curry's looking excellent at that lead guard spot. So that's one of my surprise teams as well.
Well, I wanted to ask Alex about kind of, what's been going on with, and the Warriors just beat them the other night. It's the perfect segue with the Miami Heat. I mean, the Knicks kind of blew them out twice, once without Melo. The first game's a wash with all the Sandy stuff. But that win, last week where the Knicks beat them without Melo in Miami was huge to me. But then the real issue, forget the Barkley stuff, to me the real issue is I don't think Dwayne Wade is really healthy enough, and I'm not sure if LeBron can carry them with the rest of the teams in the NBA, the top teams being a little bit better this year. What do you think about that, Alex?
Yeah, Dwayne Wade, it definitely looks like he's taking a step back. And, we kind of saw the first signs of this last year during the postseason, during the Indiana series, and then a little bit during the Boston series where he just wouldn't show up for some games or he would just have bad shooting nights, and LeBron had to take over. And he was able to do it last year, but you're right. I mean, over an entire season and a postseason, it's hard to tell if LeBron's going to be able to go out and just lead Miami to victory. I think the biggest thing with Miami right now is just their defense isn't the same as it was last year. Last year they were one of the best defensive teams in the league, but that hasn't been the case this year. I think with Dwayne Wade struggling, with Ray Allen, Rashard Lewis stepping in and playing more minutes there, their defense is taking a step back. They're averaging, they're letting teams average 99.5 points per game against them, and that's fifth worst in the conference. So really they've taken a huge step back. Offensively, they're still playing well, but when you let teams score as much as they are, it's hard to win some games. They're beating all the teams they should, but when they've played a good team like the Knicks, as you've mentioned, it's just been ugly. So that's the biggest thing Miami needs to work on right now. They need to get back to that elite level of defense they were playing last year. They need to get Ray Allen and Rashard Lewis acclimated. And I think you're right. Dwayne Wade needs to step up. He doesn't have to be the all-star and the superstar we saw earlier in his career. That's what LeBron James is there for. He's the alpha male. But he needs to be a second option that teams have to fear, so that LeBron James doesn't have to do everything by himself.
Yeah, at one point it was Wade County. It looked like LeBron adopted the city now. LeBron has the key to the city.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's true. I mean, whenever they first all assembled, LeBron would be in the back during their photo shoots and things like that. And, Dwayne Wade had said last year that he wanted to turn the team over to LeBron and let him take over and be the number one option. I'm not sure that was so much Dwayne just being unselfish, but Dwayne realizing that he's on the decline, and we've seen that this year.
Well, let me ask you this, Alex, in terms of just in the East. The one thing, obviously, I like in the Atlantic Division, with the Knicks and Nets and Philly kind of doing their thing, the best stat that I think of is the Knicks, right? They're not, they're only turning it over like 10 turnovers a game, and that makes it hard for Miami because they like to run and fast break, and that's how they get a lot of points. But to me, what do you think's going on with the Celtics? Because they got a lot of nice players, a lot of 2-3s, point, twos, combo players, 3-4s. But in terms of size, Fab Melo went down to D-League. They brought him back up. Wilcox, he's a Terrapin, and I went to Maryland, so I shout out my Terps. But a little soft. Do you think that they will be able to be big enough, and maybe Jeff Green big enough to dominate or beat the Knicks or Nets in a 7-game series?
It's going to be tough if they don't make an addition. Their rebounding numbers are down, and I think the reason for their early season struggles has been because that they have so many new faces there. We're used to seeing the same Celtics team come back, but this year they have Jason Terry, Jeff Green's back and playing significant minutes for the first time, Leandro Barbosa, Courtney Lee, Jared Sullinger. I mean, they've added so many guys that are significant contributors there that they're trying to get all these guys on the same page, get everyone acclimated. So I think that's why they maybe haven't gone off to the start that we usually expect from the Celtics. And, I mean, Boston usually does this where they'll coast through some of the early months of the season, and come playoff time, they're ready to go. Everyone's ready to make a run towards the title. So I'm not too concerned about Boston. But, yeah, I mean, I am concerned about their rebounding and their size down low just because, this same roster is not going to grow between now and the playoffs, so that's not going to help them. That's why I'm surprised they haven't went out and signed someone like Kenyon Martin. We've heard Boston linked to Martin, and I'm surprised that Martin hasn't found a team yet just because he said that he's willing to take the veteran minimum. He's willing to come in on a non-guaranteed deal and prove himself. I just don't see what there is to lose if you're Boston. You might as well bring Martin in. He's someone that could run that second unit defensively because whenever Kevin Garnett comes out of games, they're not the same defensive team either. So Let him come in, be a defender, be a rebounder. That's all you really need for him, and he's cheap. So, hey, I mean, we've heard that rumor for a while now, but it hasn't happened, and I'm surprised about that.
Hey, Alex, I would ask, because I know that as I follow your blogs, you're pretty good at staying on the pulse of some of these rumors and things that might be coming up. Some teams early on struggling, we know with Lakers. What are some of the rumors that you may have heard or have understanding that may be developing that we may not know yet, or is it too soon to say?
Well, there's one rumor. I mean, it's Anderson Varejao possibly being traded. That's something that you're going to hear between now and the trade deadline a lot, just because I think going into this year, the Cavaliers expected to be a playoff team, or at least in the playoff hunt. But right now they're 5-18. They've really struggled a lot, so they really haven't lived up to expectations. And I think they realize that with their young core of Kyrie Irving, Dion Waiters, Tyler Zeller, Tristan Thompson, it may make more sense to trade away Anderson Varejao, especially with the season he's having. I mean, his trade value right now is at an all-time high. So moving him and being able to get another young piece that they can put in that core, or even a very nice draft pick that they could use next year to draft another young player, I think they realize that long-term that may be the best move, just because Varejao is not really in their long-term plan because he's 30 years old. He's been in the league so long. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Varejao was traded maybe to a contender or maybe for some young pieces that would fit into Cleveland's long-term plan. And the other player to keep an eye on as the deadline approaches is Jose Calderon, just because, the Toronto Raptors have Kyle Lowry, and even though he's been banged up, he's definitely the starter there when he's healthy. And if you're the Raptors and you're struggling like they are, you need to trade away a backup who's pretty valuable if it lets you improve and get another starter. So I think those are the two players to watch over the next few months.
Would you do that rumor, Bargnani and Calderon, for Paul Gasol?
I don't think that's the answer. I've heard that rumor and it's been written about a lot, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure bringing Gasol makes that team any better. At the end of the day, he's 32 years old. He's had knee injuries now. Knee tendonitis has sidelined him, and he's still owed a lot of money. So I think if you're the Raptors, you trade away Calderon and Bargnani if you can get another player that you can put alongside Kyle Lowry for the next couple of years. And it's kind of like Cleveland. I think you find someone that you can put in your long-term plan, not a veteran who's maybe on the decline like Gasol. I think that'd be a great move for the Lakers, but for the Raptors, it doesn't make much sense for me.
Yep, I agree. Hey, Alex, which rookie has jumped out of the gate and impressed you the most? I'm sure E Complete would love to hear it.
Yeah, man. Out there in Portland, right?
Damian Lillard. He's been very impressive. He's playing right now. He's been killing it all year long. I think last year around this time he was projected as a second-round pick. So watching him dominate at Weber State all last year and then enter the draft and just climb up draft boards and now prove that he's a legit starting point guard and a possible Rookie of the Year front-runner. I've been very impressed with Lillard. And Anthony Davis, I mean, even though he's been sidelined and injured for all but a couple of games, when he has played, he's been phenomenal. I wrote an article the other day about Anthony Davis talking about he's on pace to actually break the single-season record for PER for a rookie. He would be if he continues to play at this level, his PER in his rookie year would be higher than any other player. So that's MJ, Shaq, Wilt. I mean, you go down the list, he'd be having the best rookie year ever. So even though he hasn't played a whole lot, and it's a very small sample size, when he has played, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I want to ask you with the struggling Wizards about John Wall, him coming back, and do you think he might not even rush to come back the way that they're playing? But Bradley Beal, I like him, but I think because of the Wall being out, do you think it sort of stunted his development and forced him to take some, bad shots earlier as a rookie?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've asked a lot of him, and like you said, they're having him take bad shots and they're having him force things. And it's funny, we saw the same thing in Summer League. I was in Las Vegas for Summer League, and Bradley Beal was pretty much the only player on the Wizards roster. So literally every play, they're putting the ball in his hands. And even when he's double-teamed or seeing multiple defenders come his way, he was chucking up shots and forcing things. So it was kind of a sign of what's to come for the season because they had no idea John Wall was going to be out. But the second Wall went down, and he goes down, they really did the exact same thing with their regular season roster. They really asked Beal to do a whole lot. So I think when John Wall comes back, that should help Beal. It'll take some of the pressure off of him. And, a couple of years from now, that's going to be one of the better backcourts in the league. I know everyone looks at the Wizards as a joke right now just because they're not winning many games, but Wall and Beal have so much potential. and they both came into the league so young that they're still pretty far away from realizing their full potential. So once Wall and Beal can play together a little bit and develop that chemistry, they could be a very scary duo for many years to come.
Yes, indeed.
I agree.
Hey, Alex Kennedy, we really appreciate you calling in to H2G Radio, giving us the rumor report, because I really like to hear those type of stuff and follow that. That was new news to me, so we really appreciate you taking the time to call in with us today, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. Take care.
Definitely, Alex. Take care, man. We'll have you back soon.
Sounds good. See you.
That was Alex Kennedy, Hoops World. Follow him on Twitter, Alex Kennedy NBA.
And Kurt. They're the most in my ear, you know what I mean, and they've had probably the most years on this team besides maybe Jason in this game, and I try to soak up as much as I can from those guys, and whatever I don't ask, they tell me anyway.
And I also saw that, you back in the days, one of your coaches was former Detroit great Ben Wallace in the Richmond Pro-Am League. How was that?
Yeah, that was, he's been great. We worked out a little bit this summer. I go back every summer and play with those guys. And a lot of people in Richmond, push me in and help me get better every summer when I go back. Corey Alexander. It's a long list. Mike Davis. A lot of people have helped me. I won't go down the list and forget names, but a lot of people in Richmond. Ben especially, from a physical aspect, he was telling me to prepare. Because it doesn't get much more physical than Ben Wallace if you know his game. So I got to learn a lot from him. Or whatever you want to call it. I had to do the tuxedo thing. I had the normal thing. Yeah, I know a lot of people seen that. I got a pink Disney princess book bag I got to wear around. Yeah, it's, like I said, from the start, it's been such a long journey, man. And, at the end of the day, just to be here is such a blessing. Like, whatever they put me through is not even, it's like, all right, what else you got for me?
Yeah. Hey, Chris, on the team, who do you, try to get the most advice, out of, obviously, this is your rookie season, like staying, certain, situations in games, who's your guy that you rather, you sit down with and you try to get as much knowledge from, in the game?
Believe it or not, I really ask, I talk to everybody. When I say everybody, I talk to everybody on the team. The guys that help me the most, I would say is Rasheed, Marcus.
So just tell us about your journey and how you landed the opportunity of being here in New York.
Man, I like to say, people say it's been 6 years. I like to say it's been 24. Since, kindergarten, I can remember wanting to be in the NBA. Since I've had memory, I can remember wanting to be a part of this league. And, the journey's been extremely long, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, man. And it's just thank God and thank the Knicks, man, for giving me an opportunity. And, I'm glad it worked out.
Hey, Chris, let me ask you, because I saw you during the summer, man, and I was telling Ricky and Edgar and one of our other boys, when you were in Summer League, what do you think it was that the coaches saw in you to invite you to camp? And, what made you feel like when you were out there, because it looked like you kind of shined through, all the talent, you and Lillard and a couple other cats, but you definitely, when I saw you playing, I was like, that's an NBA player. So what was it that the coaches were like, you know what, you're coming to camp? What do you think? What was it?
I think.
Yes, indeed. So without further ado, I want to introduce to the show Mr. Chris Copeland. Chris Copeland, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
Welcome to New York, baby. Welcome to New York.
Man, I appreciate y'all for having me, man. It's such a blessing just to be here, man. You have no idea.
Hey, Chris, I just want to let you know you're on the show where you got Ed, you got E-Complete. Those are your Knicks fans. They're on your side. I'm really not on your team, dog. I just beat you the other day. I'm Team Brooklyn Nets. So just so we have some little fun on the show here at H2G Radio.
Oh, man.
Don't worry, Chris. Chris, don't worry. We keep him hemmed up, man. We let him know. It's all about
Chris,
it's all about the Knicks.
The new management right now. How was that game, Chris? I know it's your rookie season. How did it feel to kind of be in that atmosphere there in Brooklyn?
Oh, it was an incredible environment, man. It was a lot of fun to be a part of. You know what I mean? They got us that one time. We got a lot more games to play though.
No doubt, man. I just poking fun with you. But the one thing, and talking with Ed, I'm just so impressed with just your journey in terms of finally making it to the NBA. I know you're a little older than the typical rookies in your journey of playing overseas.
For me personally, was being receptive and learning every day and making sure I was improving. Because going into it, I already, I've been a scorer for a while. You know what I mean? And the coaches, they're always on me about showing other aspects of the game. By the end of the summer league, I was trying to distribute more, trying to be more of a presence defensively. And I think those are the things that got me over the hump. A lot of people can score, but, coaches always on me about being versatile. And, that was a big thing for me.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so Cope, I was talking with Ed as well, and I know sometimes how the rookies, sometimes they always have a story to go through. The rookies don't always get treated fairly. Tell her, in this month, what has life been like being a rookie on the New York Knicks? What do they have to put you through?
Oh my goodness. I got a lot.
I know a couple of things. I want to see if you're going to share. I know a couple of things already.
Yeah, let us know, man.
Yeah, they got me quite a few times, man. Marcus is my biggest hater.